as far as the books of Fatawa, there's two things you need to understand. The first of them is that the scholars of old used to, when they were talking about a fatwa, they were talking about the scholar's application of a particular ruling in a specific situation. Nowadays, when they talk about fatawa, they just mean someone asks a question and they got an answer. You have to understand that mustalahat, or these terminologies, they change as time goes on. This has got to be understood. When scholars of old were talking about certain things, it doesn't necessarily mean when we use these terms today that we're talking about what they were referring to. This doesn't only this isn't only in terms of terminologies, but in different aspects of sciences. Certain things are completely different than the way they were. So you need to understand when we use these terminologies, whose terminologies are we using? It's first and foremost. So a lot of these books of Fatawa nowadays, when we look, the Fatawa of Sheikh Falan and Alan, they're talking about, okay, people ask them a question and they got to answer the question. They mean the same way we talk about when we say questions and answers. Sometimes our questions, sometimes the answers are specific to the individuals, and sometimes they're just general ruling. Sheikh, can you report? No, it's a fatwa, according to this other usage. But the scholars of old would say, look, the hukum is that it's haram to eat it. Do you understand? So there's a huge difference between a hukum and a fatwa. But the books of fatawa today, or both of them are in there together generally. Where the older scholars, their fatawa books were fatawa books. And they have a huge benefit that generally you're going to find that the scholars of Sharia, they're able to appreciate. And even the students of knowledge of Sharia, they're able to appreciate more than a lot of other people. In that you get to see the falsafa, or the philosophy, the understanding of the application of these rulings by these different scholars. When you look at the fatawa of this scholar and the fatawa of this scholar, you see that they were applying principles. They show you how they applied these principles to how to apply that particular ruling to a person's individual's situation. You saw that they weren't just giving a hukum, they just gave you a general ruling to something, but they asked, okay, well, what is the situation? Or tell me a little bit more about your situation. And from there they say, okay, because of this situation, we use this principle to understand that, you know, generally this is haram, for example, but out of darura, out of necessity, we're going to say it's halal only to this degree because why? There's a general principle that says that ad-darura tuqaddar biqadriha, that we can only go into something that is considered to be haram out of necessity to the extent that it's a necessity, or that we're wiping away the reason for that necessity. So in the older fatawa books, you see the way that they were able to apply these principles to come up with their fatawa. So there's a huge benefit behind it. It's just you need to know when you're looking into the books of fatawa, what are you trying to benefit? And if I can break off and tell you something else that may benefit you in your studies overall. One of the biggest problems that we run into a lot of times in giving classes is that me as a teacher or an instructor, I have a goal. I'm trying to teach you this book here. I have a goal in what I want you to get out of my dars. You as a student, you hear, okay, he's doing this book. I'm going to get this. If my goal and your goal don't match, you're not really going to get the benefit that's intended. When you sit down and put a dars together, your intention is, I want to give you something. If you're coming to me to get something that I'm not trying to give, we're going to miss each other. Do you understand? 9 times out of 10, we're going to end up missing each other. So you need to understand, when you come to sit in front of me and I'm trying to teach you something, what is it that I want you to get? What do I want you to walk away with? Do you understand? So when you go to sit down and study a book of Fatawa or things along these sorts, you have to understand that the author or the mufti himself, he had a purpose. He had something he wanted me to understand. What did he want me to get? And don't look at it and say, okay, well, what can I get out of it? Because a lot of times, what you want may be something that you don't really need. Or what you understood might have been wrong, and you end up building something incorrect off of a misunderstanding. So even whenever you pick up a book, it's important to read the book, read the introduction to the book, so you know, okay, this is what the sheikh is trying to get across to me. So you don't read the book and understand and be way over here with it when he's trying to bring you right here. So the purpose of the dars, or the purpose of the book, or the purpose of the lecture, whatever it might be, you need to understand what's the purpose from the point, or from the perspective of the individual giving the class, not from what it is that you want to get out of it. And this also works with what we were talking about the books of Fatawa. Don't look at the fatwa to say, okay, what kind of answer can I give so I can give it to someone else? No. The purpose of those books is so that you can see the application of the principles. Not for you to go in there and just grab something and say, okay, well, listen, this is what I'm going to apply in my life, or try and push off on someone else. Because that's, one, not the purpose of a fatwa, and that's not how you use it.